With over 800 exhibitors gathering in Las Vegas, Nevada, NBAA-BACE is North America's largest gathering for the business aviation industry. After being forced to cancel the event in 2020, NBAA 21 will simply not disappoint. With unprecedented demand for private aircraft coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, the world's most advanced business aircraft are here on display. Suppliers up and down the supply chain are represented here at this event and come together with private, corporate, and commercial business aviation operators from across the industry, all ready to meet face-to-face once again and collaborate in advancing the business aviation industry. Now we're joined by Sean McGeough, who's the new head of Airbus Corporate Jets North America. Sean, thank you so much for joining us here today. I know we're in the shadow of this ACJ 319 Neo. It's an incredible aircraft.
Well, Hulsey, it's as good as it looks, and it flies as good as it looks, and look forward to hosting you and the team on the airplane during the show. This particular airplane came in from Munich. It's a great customer of ours. They came in from Toulouse, actually, non-stop, 11 hours and 45 minutes with our team from Toulouse. Very comfortable. This airplane is about $100 million. But as you can see, it's a great RAM presence. It can seat up to 18 passengers comfortably, 6 zones. We also have the A220, which isn't at the show, but we announced an order this week with the customer in North America we're really excited about. We also announced last year a major order with Comelux, our partner, which will be doing the outfit of the airplane up in Indianapolis. So we're looking forward to being in front of customers again. It's been a long hiatus, so it's just great to be in front of folks again here in Las Vegas.
Tell us what your aircraft does different. What sets you apart from a Global or a Heavy Falcon?
Well, Jeff, the first thing that's obvious, we benefit from the airline infrastructure, and what that really means is reliability. Every 2 seconds an Airbus takes off and lands, which is an astronomical statistic. While a lot of business jets fly around the globe, we have an amazing infrastructure where we can support the airplane. But we, for the first time, have entered into the business jet arena with the A220, which is built here in North America. There's actually 26 customers flying A220s right now, majority of them airliners. The airplane has flown over 600,000 hours, 330,000 cycles. So by the time the airplane enters service next year for business owners, it's going to have a great track record for reliability. And it's the first airplane that really competes with the business jets. We actually refer to it as an extra large cabin. You have the ultra long range. We're calling it the extra large cabin because our footprint and the real estate on board is 3 to 4 times the size of what you see in the ultra long range.
So tell us about the market segment. As you know, there's 35% of all aircraft transactions are going to first-time aircraft buyers, and of that number, 53% of them, it's their true first experience with private aviation. What does that mean to Airbus Corporate Jets, especially in North America, but also worldwide?
So we all love repeat buyers. We have owners that buy multiple ACJs from us because they like the product, but first-time buyers is where you truly grow market share. And we've seen a majority of first-time buyers come into the market in the last year because of COVID, whether it's Wheels Up, FlexJet, NetJets, but even the first-time buyer of a whole airplane. The real advantage is there's no really perceived notion, or they don't have any real brand loyalty. So if we have an opportunity to compete and show them a level playing field, we have as good of a chance as any, just because of the cabin. And it's always been about the cabin, and our cabin is, you'll see later in the week, is a boardroom here in North America that you would typically see.
Well, it also seems it's opening up an upgrade market for Airbus Corporate Jets because people are looking for what's next.
Yeah.
It seems to me, the Gulfstreams, the G450s, the G4SPs, specifically the 220 is a logical next step, relative to the competition, the G650, the Global Expresses. Is that really a target market for ACJ and for the 220?
Yeah, in most cases, it's also a supplemental play. So they may not sell their G650, but they'll go ahead and buy an ACJ to supplement their transportation needs. All aircraft are compromised. We may not fly as far or as fast, but we certainly have the luxury of the cabin. And for some people, that's more important than flying 7,000 nautical miles. When you look at the ultra long range market, very few, if a small percentage fly further than 5,700 nautical miles, which is the range of the 220. So we feel very well positioned, and at the end of the day, they think North America is a great marketplace for us, and the 220 is just starting to come online, and we're excited to be here in Las Vegas to show it to customers.
So the airline background, the well-heeled background that Airbus has, what kind of questions do your customers ask that you think that background provides an answer that maybe some of your competitors can't with these type of aircraft?
You know, I think it's always down to the dispatch reliability, and I remember being at a Paris Air Show with a major fractional, and at the time I'd worked for Hawker Beechcraft, and Hawker, the 800, had one of the best dispatch reliabilities in business aviation for this particular provider, and the CEO of the company said, Sean, you know, you've got the best, most reliable business aircraft in the market, but it's nowhere near what airline reliability is. You need to be up in the high 90s. And as I mentioned earlier, we already have 600,000 hours on the A220 flying with airlines, high cycles, working every day of the week, where the typical business owner really flies maybe 500-600 hours a year on the high side. So the reliability equation even becomes greater when it comes to the business owner, and they benefit from our huge infrastructure here in North America. We have large spares in Miami, large spares in Dulles, just outside of DC. We have numerous facilities that they can maintain and service their airplane, a phenomenal customer support team, which at the end of the day you would expect with the customer. And to give you an example, the customer that flew in this beautiful 319 from Munich has 4 of our ACJs, and in the last two years they've only had 2 AOGs, and they've flown several thousand hours. So that just gives you an example of the reliability you would come to expect with ACJ.
You know, I think another thing that is lost on people is why the 220 and maybe the 319 are large cabin aircraft, they can still go into airports like Aspen. You know, tell us about how important that is to your customer base.
So unfortunately, a lot of the business jets cannot go in Aspen because of wingspan, and we cannot either. But we can go into Teterboro, and we're going to work on the 319 and also the A220 to get an artificial reduced max takeoff weight, which is what you need to operate in and out of those airports. But you're right, the footprint of the ACJ 220 and even the 319 here on display is the same footprint as this Global 7500,
right,
as the G700, and if you look at the recent announcement by Gulfstream, they're all growing up to be like ACJs. The tail on the G800 is taller now, and essentially the wingspan and the length of the airplane is the same footprint. So if you're at Teterboro or in White Plains, you're essentially taking up the same space as you would expect with another large cabin.
So it's a weight challenge, it's not a wingspan challenge for these aircraft to go in and out of those airports?
With the larger ultra long range, yes, you need to have an artificial reduced max takeoff weight, which needs to be approved by the airport authority.
Is that a project you are working on?
Of course, yeah, we're working I would expect Gulfstream with their new G800. We would want to have operations in and out of that airport because it's so popular.
So your fingerprints are all over these great aircraft, Sean, and we know you're a pilot. You've got a lot of input here. We got to know, what are you most proud of? What are you most excited about with this line of aircraft?
You know, it brings a whole new element to the marketplace. I think, right, wrong, or indifferent, the market's fixated on range. We're fixated on cabin. And I've talked to a lot of airplane owners, fractional owners, and it's always been about the cabin. And when you look at the 319 later this week, we encourage everyone here at the show to come look at it. It's really a differentiator, and that's what's so exciting. You know, we have 6 zones versus 3 to 4. You have multiple different styles you can pick and choose. The 319 is $95 million. That's more of a bespoke type of configuration, but the A220 is more like the typical business jet offering. There may not be as many options, but it's built by Airbus and it's outfitted by one of our great partners up in Indianapolis, Comlux.
Sean, thank you so much for joining us here on Straight and Level. We really appreciate your time, especially with those orders stacking up. I see plenty of customers in this audience, so I'm sure you're going to have a busy week. Thank you for being here, and I hope you join us again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's great to be back face-to-face in the business aviation industry. On behalf of the crew of Straight and Level, a special thanks to all of our guests for joining us live on the broadcast set in the NBAA static display. I'm Hulsey Smith, and until next time, blue skies.